Qué bueno estar acá. La verdad que es un gran honor. Además, viví 5 años en Venezuela y otros varios en Miami, el capital de Latinoamérica, así que es como volver a mi segunda casa. Y ahora yo voy a cambiar en inglés. It's an extraordinary honor to be here, and I have so many things that I will share with you over the next short period. Some about the trends that are happening in today, what you see in the marketplace, and a bit also, because in MasterCard Labs we're focused on R&D, about the future, about what's happening in the medium term, and in fact, some of the things that we're looking at that are happening, and in technology, what is really the long term? It's an interesting conundrum that we're facing. It's also an interesting one to think that we've just passed the US Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday, and some of the reports with regard to what happened over these 2 days that are extraordinarily huge days in retail are that same-store sales in the physical world actually reduced on Black Friday. But e-com, online, doesn't matter what device, grew double digits. And Cyber Monday actually was even a bigger moment for retailers. So we have a lot of room to grow in the online, any device is a commerce device space. Today, if you look at studies from the US, which is indicative, but obviously depending on the region in Latin America, the numbers are somewhat different, but this is directional. Online only represents 8% of total volume. So there is a lot of room for us to grow as I look and share with you really what we're trying to do in terms of making any device a commerce device. And I'll thank the prior speaker for bringing up some of the themes with regard to buying from your refrigerator and any of the devices that before we thought were just hardware, they're now turning into software. So if we look about the kind of the best of times and the worst of times, there's a couple of key themes that I want to focus on. If you think about instantaneous gratification, if you think about personalization, if you think about the platform and the maturity of the platform, if you think about the notion of customization and contextual purchases, I'll show you some examples that exist today that we're working on that absolutely we're partnering with companies that are small startups, that are traditional financial institutions, that are merchants, that are digital giants, but the emergence and the maturity of the cloud and the ecosystems that we're playing in. You're now starting to see the introduction of 2.0 and 3.0 type of applications that are being introduced that are focused on before, during, and after the transaction, because consumers don't wake up and say, gosh, I've got to make a payment today. Consumers say, I need a cup of coffee, I need to buy some groceries, I need to buy a present, I want to go out to dinner, I need to do parking, but they don't think about the payment. It's about connecting the buyer and the seller to the item that resonates and is important for them. And the payment, as we saw and as we see in Uber as a great example, is actually out of the picture. It's about getting from point A to point B. So if we look about the horizons, the technology horizons, I talked about things that we're seeing today, things that we'll see in 1 to 3 years, and things that we believe are technically possible. But the question is, will they actually scale? Will they go mainstream? We see some of the, the proliferation of connected devices. Everyone is walking around with a computer in their hand now. And so it's true that plastic works extraordinarily well, but we don't know that you're actually going to make a transaction with a plastic card until you are at the point of interaction. And with a handheld, with a smartphone, we have much more information. Obviously, from a data privacy perspective, all of this is approved through the consumer before we can use this data. But you heard the example. You get off the phone, you turn your roaming on, all of a sudden you get an offer about a restaurant. And perhaps it's a seafood restaurant because we know from data that you actually go to a lot of seafood restaurants. And we're not sending you an offer for an Italian restaurant or a churrascaria. We are sending you an offer on seafood because we are able to look at the data and make advances in it. Data is one of the aspects that we are very excited about from a MasterCard perspective. We've made some significant investments. I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. But it's not just individual data. It's connecting data sets and really understanding how that plays into putting together, I talked about personalized, customized, and contextual offers that really start to get to who you are and what resonates for you as a consumer. There's a video that you'll see with voice recognition. Would it be easier? Today, the level of reaction from some of the devices that we have with regard to voice recognition is better. Perhaps it's not perfect. It's definitely more mature than it had been. But if you think about Amazon's Alexa and the ability to communicate with a device that's sitting in your home, which you'll see a MasterCard version of that, would you have a whole conversation? I think there was actually a movie about that where the guy fell in love with his operating system. So, I mean, these things, I'm talking to you about things that are mainstream here 1 to 3 years and in the future, but Hollywood does a lot with a lot of stuff that is happening today as well as building on it for the future. Sensors and connected devices. You'll see today a picture, it doesn't have a brand on it, of a connected fridge. So imagine a refrigerator with a shopping cart that connects into multiple merchants, all the merchants that you do your weekly or your monthly grocery shopping, and that it knows based on the information that you've loaded into your cart that you need apples because you go through apples every other week, you need milk, et cetera, et cetera. And the friction associated with having to go to multiple locations or order from multiple locations online is removed. And then there's the notion of unattended retail, or what we used to call vending. But vending is not only for soft drinks anymore. If any of you travel in airports, which I know you all do, vending is now, we've got Best Buy. You can buy all types of electronic equipment. You can buy creams in vending. And the use cases continue on and on. If we start to think then about what happens out through 1 to 3 years and going forward, think about 3D printing and the ability for merchants to no longer have to stock millions of items of inventory and to have it in just in time to be able to be printed for everyday items. Think about persistent authentication, how it eliminates friction, biometrics. There was, in the initial video, a piece on the selfie. So, you know, I raised my hand and said that I do believe that I don't even know if in the next 5 years that we will be able to actually be authenticated using facial recognition. I'm wearing today a NIMI band. I'll talk a little bit more about that. It is connected by my heartbeat, by my ECG, and it lets me in the office door as opposed to using my pass card. I can start my computer with it. It has an RFID chip and is loaded with, I think about $150. It's down now because I've used it wherever I can find a contactless terminal. So these items that are being tested across different verticals, the use cases, I think the challenge around it is trying to connect the dots and make the experience with less friction and with more and with more of a normal routing of a consumer journey, what happens throughout their traditional day. Drones for commerce. We know what drones are used for today. I think there's a whole vertical of Christmas presents that will be bought this season for drones. And the question is, will we be able to use it for commerce? I'll interject a small story on drones. In MasterCard Labs, where I now work for the last 8 months, we have internal weekends where we're put up. You'll see the notion later. We talked about a hackathon for inclusion, but we for a weekend, a couple of times a year, will focus on certain verticals where we'd like to see some great ideas be launched. And one of the groups of engineers in St. Louis developed a drone use case where they were out running and they forgot their wallet. And the drone delivered the prepaid card to right outside a coffee shop as the guy was running. And so they were very excited about trying to take this mainstream. In my idea, the guy had his phone, and it was a Starbucks. He actually could have used his Starbucks app, but I didn't want to fight with the engineers. Engineers are kind of like artists, and they're quite creative, and it's an interesting conversation when you have that. But will there be the ability for us to actually move drones into a use case that actually has real commerce? Augmented reality and virtual reality. We have a vertical where, and Gilberto mentioned it before, our connection to startups. We have a startup that we're working on with virtual reality and augmented reality, where we believe for some banking applications, we will be able to take some consumers on some journeys that really start to bring value propositions to life. It's different, and it's an interesting use case. It's not a shopping mall. I will show you later a bit on shopping malls and virtual reality, but I think there's some opportunity on the banking side of the house as well. So if we ultimately then look forward and say, okay, we're going to have omni-channel commerce, shopping anywhere, anytime, from any device, the rise of self-service. How many of us have gone to pharmacies, big chain pharmacies, and don't want to wait for the checkout, so you go to the self-service checkout? That technology is really advanced, and the level of accuracy against actually doing self-service checkout is something that starts to get to this notion of what will we be using the salesperson for in these retail locations? And merchants are working through this whole notion of what the omni-commerce mix is. How do we use the people that we do have in these retail locations to interact and engage with consumers? Ambient commerce, I'll show you a use case later where it's about sneakers and running, but a perfect use case is your washing machine has done 25 cycles. It knows that on 30 cycles, it's time for new Tide liquid detergent. And so that automatically is part of a package that you receive because there's a message that's been given from your washing machine to your multi-merchant cart, and you now have that delivered to your home. You never have to worry about going to the actual bottle and it being empty. So there's a lot of friction that the intelligence of Internet of Things and connected devices can take out of everyday life and really save time for the experiences. So if we look at what some of these technology horizons can deliver, it's really about the beginning of personalization and smarter checkouts so that friction is reduced. It's about driving, decisioning, using the data to make the experience an enhanced experience, as well as not wasting resources from the standpoint of marketing dollars to go after segments that don't necessarily respond to certain offers, and to have a better targeting to the personalization almost of one. Safety and security at the heart and the core of what we do. I'll talk a little bit about that with regard to tokenization and the securitization and digitization of the credentials in your mobile device so that your card credentials are not exposed. New channels where hardware is was turning into software. And then this notion of nobody has the patience to wait for anything anymore. So everybody expects things to be instant, response time, ordering, customization, and how merchants and different verticals in the ecosystem are trying to respond to that. So the smarter checkout. So it is shopping at your pace, not at the merchant's pace. And when you're ready to check out, merchants are absolutely able to show you that you don't have to have a terminal brought to you to pay. You can already have your credentials loaded, and after you've ordered, and we have an example, you'll see a video from a partner that we're working with in England in the food and beverage vertical. I'm happy that you heard the name Quicker mentioned a number of times. Quicker is a mobile payment and ordering app that we're working in a number of industry verticals, from restaurants to stadiums to parking to vending, and you'll see that once you've loaded your credentials into the Quicker wallet using MasterPass in markets where we've actually rolled MasterPass out, you do your transaction and then you leave. You don't have to wait for pay, which is about making the checkout smarter. The notion of mixed media and consumers wanting to use their mobile device, use their smartwatch, and do and see merchandise while they're in aisle doesn't mean that they necessarily want to take that item and walk to the cashier and pay and check out. They might want to see the item in the aisle and pay for it directly on their phone. And this mixed omni-channel experience is what merchants are really trying to understand how to develop their data capture, their offers, their inventory around. It has to be at the moment that, and in the measure that the consumer wants this transaction to actually flow through, not driven by what the traditional merchant mode of checkout is. Digital media and the ability, and you've heard from many of the digital giants about the notion of a buy button. So consumer is reading a Condé Nast Allure magazine, and it's talking about what is the hot nail polish color for Christmas. And instead of having to go out to Walmart or Saks to purchase that, if there's a buy button, which you can see at the nearby.com icon on the screen, they click that, they have their credentials already loaded in their wallet, and in 2 or 3 clicks, they've purchased the red nail polish that is the hot color for Christmas, and they go back to reading their content. And so the digital giants, if you see now, Twitter and I believe Shopify has just enabled thousands of merchants with this. It's about reducing the abandonment rate. Because when a consumer was reading an article in a digital magazine and then has to be transported to 3 other websites along their journey, they lose their train of thought, right? This whole notion on the left side with regard to instantaneous also has the right side component where attention spans are limited. And so if you can reduce the friction in the purchase and let them go back to the experience they were in, it also increases contextual and at the point of sale type of purchases. So merchants are looking for, how do I create another channel in to get this consumer to buy another item? But also, how do I create the interest in wanting to continue going back and reading that content? If we look at Pay a Table, this is one of the ones where we have an extraordinary partner in the UK by the name of Wagamama. And this is a fast casual restaurant where there is a server. And the story for them that you'll hear from their chief technology officer is they were looking for a way to innovate the consumer experience in their restaurants, but they were also looking for some capacity and for throughput with regard to the number of customers that they could serve in a lunch period or in a dinner period, and really take the experience to a new level. So let's roll the video.
Process
So there's nothing like having extraordinary partners. If you look at what Richard was talking about, we've actually integrated Quicker with the Micros point of sale system that sits in the restaurant. And so it's got a consumer component that you would download from any one of the stores, where you would load in your credentials, and you would then be able to, using geotechnology, see where any Wagamama is located. In the UK, we will be at probably another 5 to 7 restaurants by the end of the first quarter. And what will show up in your app is all of the restaurants that are on this, that are using Quicker. And Quicker can be used in multiple ways. It can be used with the brand name Quicker. It can be integrated using APIs, like we've done with the PGA. So Quicker is the app that has been integrated into golf, and we've done quite a number of tournaments over 2015. It's also used in Yankee Stadium for order ahead and delivery. So there's multiple use cases against this application, and a partner in Latin America, Paymentes, who has launched the app Plazas. So there's a white label version of it as well, and I believe that our partner Juan Franco is here, and there he is, plug for one of our partners. And we are in Colombia, looking to go to a number of other markets as well. So really easy to use from the consumer perspective, efficiencies and incremental average ticket size and ordering from the merchant perspective, and multiple use cases across different components of a consumer's journey. So let's move a bit to kind of frictionless security and some of the work that MasterCard has been doing across the digital payment landscape. Last year, at the end of the year and the beginning of this year, we launched MDES, which stands for MasterCard Digital Enablement Services. We use a lot of acronyms. And this, again, goes to this notion of tokenizing your credit card so that your credentials are not sitting in your phone, and providing a level of safety and security for both merchants as well as consumers in order to do their transactions digitally. This MasterCard Digital Enablement Service, obviously, we've partnered and connected with a number of the players that are using this platform in order to be able to launch their services out to consumers. And so we are pretty much underpinning a lot of the wallets and the proliferation of the digital commerce and the movement that it's gaining, the traction that it's gaining on a go-forward basis. You also see here the NIMI band. I talked a bit about it in my opening remarks. This is a startup out of Toronto, Canada, that actually had a use case that was more on a consumer journey before they've decided to regroup. And it's interesting when you're working with startups how as they move through their journey, there's a bit of a story on how they have one mandate, go out with awareness, partnered with a number of financial institutions. There's, as I mentioned, an RFID chip in this, and they quickly realized after a year that really the technology that they would like to move forward with is more on an enterprise basis, not necessarily at the consumer standpoint. So it's another great example of partnering after understanding what really is the core element of what that company is fantastic at. The interesting thing ultimately about NIMI is that the use cases are way beyond the payment. entering the office, turning on your computer, entering a hotel room, opening your car. And so as you get the authentication down and feel comfortable that you are truly you and you have been authenticated, it's really then about how do we reduce friction in moments across a consumer's journey during their day using some of the technology and some of the other underlying partner technology to really build an extraordinary journey. Personalized shopping experience. So I'm definitely a retail shopper, so this one is near and dear to my heart. Getting more and relevant consumer offers. I think Groupon started this with sending out offers that were completely off target. My husband would constantly get the emails about a manicure and a pedicure, and so he isn't usually getting that, although I think I did actually get him one when we were in Asia once. But it's about knowing more about your consumers than you've ever known before, and using that data and the connection of data sets to really get to a point of resonance that the consumer absolutely reacts to. And you'll see in this next example, this offer now on the smartwatch is around a coffee because they know that this is an Americano and it's time now they've earned an incremental coffee. So they know the data sets and the aggregation of purchase transaction behavior plus where we see the other components of your journey, plus matching that data to that we have to really starts to build a compelling proposition for target marketing to a segment of one. Ambient commerce. This is the one where so you've run your 300 miles, and at the 300 miles based on a chip that's in your sneaker, all of a sudden you have pre-programmed that your sneakers are going to be delivered, or the washing machine, or the dishwasher, you've done your 25 cycles on the dishwasher, or the water filter, or the oil, and on and on and on. And this is a vertical of commerce that FMCGs are really interested in. So there's an interesting battle going on right now between retailers that normally have the interaction with consumer and manufacturers. And manufacturers, driven by the opportunity in technologies, are able to put together subscription services for, as an example, laundry, where on a yearly basis you could order something on detergent, drying sheets, spot remover, and that actually is a direct connection that these consumer product goods are trying to make with the consumer. So technology is enabling manufacturers that had heretofore been very much connected through merchants to potentially connect in with consumers directly. And ambient commerce, because we know when something is about to tip forward to another need for a consumer, is helping drive some of that change in business model. Immersive virtual malls. So I don't think that we're going to have a lot of people walking around with this virtual reality headset, but you see that she is basically virtually shopping in a mall. And if you start to think about what the possibilities are here, think about virtual mall hopping. You know what? I don't actually want what's in Aventura. I'm going to go to Dadeland. And it clicks automatically, and you see the merchants and the stores that are in Dadeland as opposed to Aventura. or something in the UK or Japan or Brazil, etc. We think there's something in 2016 that we'll come out with that we're working on in labs with this one. And this is not necessarily about this headset being unwieldy from the standpoint of a cost standpoint. There are a number of versions of this that actually make sense from a price per component perspective. Then we have the one with augmented reality and the dressing room. God, green's just not my color. I really want to see it in blue. Actually, it's a MasterCard thing. I really want to see it in orange. I know now the next time I need to change that because I do like to wear my company's colors. But imagine having the consumer be able to just using that screen change what the outfit looks like. Again, back to this notion, I keep harking on it, the personalization and the customization of what will be right for that consumer. Now, she might have said, green's not my color, I'm not buying this. But she saw it in blue and she said, I love this. And so I know that many of you know this personally and also from your family shopping experiences. It actually makes a difference. And here we have this notion of voice recognition and personal buying assistance. And this brings together a number of the assets that we have developed in order to put together a user journey that I'd like to share with you. And it's really all about facilitating commerce and reducing friction. So roll the video, please.
Okay, Jasper, order diapers.
The item has been added to your cart.
Order baby wipes.
The item has been added to your cart.
Check out.
Authentication confirmed.
You speak on the podium mic. You're
Okay, Jasper. Did I miss anything?
It looks like you just bought a movie ticket. Would you like to make a dinner reservation?
Yes, 7 p.m. on Place in the Ride.
You have a reservation at Luigi's on 4th for tonight. 2 blocks from AFC. Details are on your phone.
Can you believe girls weekend in New York?
I can do that. Where would you like to go?
As soon as possible.
And I booked tonight at the W Hotel in New York on August 1st with the MasterCard concierge services. Would you like tickets to the Justin Timberlake concert?
Absolutely.
I got you. That seat's available. Can I do anything else for you?
No, please check out.
Vacation confirmed. Have completed your purchase. By the way, congratulations. You have just won a priceless surprise according to your MasterCard. You will backstage passes to see Justin Timberlake. Details are on your phone. Time to go. You don't want to be late. Have a great evening.
So what's really interesting is that this is the story of the wife of one of our graphic designers. And this video was done for a pitch that we were doing with a company that I can't tell you what it is, but you can imagine. to really showcase some of the extraordinary assets that we have. And that journey was an example of her living through her day, connecting into commerce in a way that, you know, the voice recognition is, in my opinion, kind of a 2.0 level evolution. It will get better. It will get even better. And it will be, you know, I don't know what the horizon is, but a number of years from now, we'll be ordering like that, and we'll wonder how we ever didn't order like that. So I really am asking you to think into the future. I think the question, and if I had my crystal ball, and it worked, I perhaps would not be here, but it's really a question of when that technology will be at a point where it will be able to connect with the multiple players in that ecosystem to really be able to deliver the experience. So merchants are constantly looking for new channels. Every device is a commerce device. And I want to show you one of the newer commerce devices that we're working on. And it's fridge. And I'd ask you to look at the size of the screen on the fridge. That is a 21-inch screen that is sitting on your fridge. And you know, if you don't see it, I mean, we have a number of these because we're working on the software application. It's this giant TV that's sitting in your kitchen, in your family hub, where a lot of activity happens. Think about all of the things that you have currently on your fridge: pictures, schedules, potentially there's music. So if we think about the power of what this shopping cart can do for you, today it's groceries, or perhaps in January you'll hear an announcement about it being groceries. But I could see many, many use cases whereby not only will you be able to order from your fridge from multiple merchants, but there will be a companion app. And if you're sitting in traffic and thinking about, okay, I want to make sure I load up my cart, you can add to this cart from your companion app. And you can give your nanny or your kids access to load things in the cart as well. But really, you only have the ability to approve the transactions. And it gets more and more intelligent as you start to enter in data. I think the other piece that we're really excited about is the potential for branding and offers, and what either consumer companies or grocers or pharmacies, etc., want to communicate with a consumer in a location that before had just been a piece of hardware. If you think about the whole food vertical, imagine there's a recipe from a celebrity chef. And if they're interested in buying or understanding and seeing an infomercial, because it's a 21-inch screen, from the celebrity chef on how to cook something, automatically the ingredients can be loaded directly into the cart. So the use cases on this are as creative as you can be with regard to commerce and connecting in with consumers' passion points. If you think about smart vending, the same app that you saw with Wagamama that works in Yankee stadiums for order ahead and delivery to your seats, that works in schools in Australia where consumers' parents are ordering food, lunches for their kids ahead of time in a whole effort to reduce the number of hamburgers and French fries that the kids eat and try and get a healthy meal in their daily food intake. But also, it started to move into, you know what, I need a permission slip, and I can give permission using the Quicker app. I can pay my tuition fees using the Quicker app. So here you have another use case of schools using the same technology. And vending tries to even move, and this Quicker app even tries to move further along the ecosystem of NFC and tapping to just using your mobile app and being able to connect in through the technology that sits in the vending machine to eliminate the requirement to have it be connected and to use the smart devices Bluetooth technology. So we're actually quite excited about this. This will be testing early 2016 in St. Louis as well as in Europe, a number of universities. So there's certain segments and use cases where this really works. You'll see one now that's an interesting use case. Commercial laundry. Who would have ever thought that MasterCard and commercial laundry had any connection? Well, we did a 5-day launchpad event with Maytag, a company that was really focused on reducing the friction on always having to find coins. So that's the way commercial laundry is done. And let's roll the video. It's a great story.
Costs and solutions. One thing that really hasn't advanced is around payments. Customers like you, we see all the time that have these types of problems. Pretty painful process. No changes, no order. You got to have the right type of bill. So this week we're meeting a consumer need around making the entire laundry process easier.
Launchpad is a 5-day sprint where we put people from 2 organizations into the room together to produce a working prototype, a business plan, and a pitch video for an idea that we start and end in the week.
With Connect 360, we now have a platform in place for connectivity. So for the first time ever, we're able to resolve this problem with mobile payments.
So what we needed is a way to work on a computer and then also talk to something like laundry machines. We had a lot of fun working on the machine factory. We really upped the ante on this one. We had a whole bunch of systems that needed to talk together. We had a custom mobile application that needs to talk to Quicker, but then it needs to talk to Simplify Commerce to get payment. And then it needs to talk to the Connect 360 platform in order to actually, at the end of the day, make the machine snap.
Introducing Laundry from Maytag Commercial Laundry. Make doing and paying for laundry easy. Here's how it works. Never wait for a machine again. Launder helps you locate available machines near you. No cash required. Payments are quick and easy. Pay with any debit or credit card. Get alerts when your laundry is complete. So now you can tackle more important things. You can even get rewarded for your loyalty. And there are many more benefits. No more quarters, no more waiting. Launder. Make doing and paying for laundry easy. Download it free in the iTunes App Store today.
So I must say, it is not called Launder. That did not pass anybody's sniff test. It is called Clothespin. It is being rolled out, starting, I believe, in Chicago and then going out further through the Midwest. But it's a great example of a vertical that we hadn't really been playing in, and also of this innovation launch pad that we work with partners on. So if there is a burning issue, if there is something where a bunch of engineers and product folk from both sides of the organization can sit in a room, 5 days is an awful long time to actually invest in developing a next generation solution. The video that you saw was actually developed during those 5 days, as well as the prototype. So it's really a fantastic way to crystallize a product or solution that you're looking to be able to pitch to an executive committee or a board of directors. And I will say that we're doing extraordinarily great work with many of our partners around the world using Launchpad. So I talked a lot about instant gratification, immediate fulfillment, consumers who have no patience to wait. It's part of kind of the fiber of what's happening in commerce, because these devices are able to turn around and connect buyers and sellers at such a fast pace. If we think about being able to buy anything instantly, taking a picture of it, you will be able to find it in an inventory and look using a similar type of technology to the buy button. If you look at instant product delivery for disposable items, imagine golf balls being built by a 3D printer. This one's on point for branding, and it's orange. If you think about rapid product delivery to your door, I saw it in the store, I saw it and was looking at it at the baseball game. I ordered it. I don't want to take it home. I'm having it shipped to my door. I'm doing it in an hour, in 2 hours. And, consumers are actually paying for different delivery mechanisms. And it's an interesting one as we talk to different merchants, how even pricing of some of the food and beverage that we have in our applications is priced differently depending on when it's ordered, what the inventory is, what seats it's in. So it's an interesting model for our merchants to be playing with in terms of elasticity of pricing. And then there's data, and how data starts to really build the process of making these offers come to life. And if you see some of the tools that we have in our information services vertical under advisors, local market insights, being able to understand how the pizza place is doing versus the Subway shop versus the Freshie juice location. Is it in the right location? When are customers entering? What is the best time to have your staff on call? What is the best day for an online or an e-com marketing campaign? If you see something on the bottom left part of that APT, we purchased this year Applied Predictive Technologies. This actually gets to the holy grail of data, SKU data, and starts to link the consumer to, I know that they purchase X product, I'm going to be able to provide an offer on that X product. I know that this person has ordered wine. I'm going to actually do a deal with some wine companies so that we can offer that wine and surprise the customer with an offer that is specifically and directly relevant to their behavior. So wrapping up, there's so many pieces, so many entrants and players in our space. Again, it's about every device ultimately will be a commerce device. That's not a tomorrow horizon. That's happening today. Personalization and customization, contextual commerce. I want it now in the moment. I need to reduce friction. Obviously, a ton of opportunities and threats. But the retailers and the brands that really understand the consumers, that connect them to truly what their journey is, reducing the friction will get less abandonment rates, higher average ticket size, and really start to see the commerce journey of the future. So hopefully I've shared a nice segment of what we're thinking about in MasterCard Labs. Thank you for your time. Gracias.